Eating matzah. Hunting for the afikoman. Eating calm when I'm eating.
The food. The food, sometimes the Seder is a little bit long, but the food it come after the Haggadah, the best.
I like when we all gather around and we sit down and enjoy eating.
One of my favorite things about Passover is actually setting up the table for the Seder. And just keep using the stuff that has been passed down to me from Adam's family. I have to also say that I just love listening to my kids now reading the Haggadah.
We love our Passover Seders, and we have, I have my youngest granddaughter. I mean, she's just part of it, very much involved in it. I couldn't do a Seder without her anymore. It's something to look forward to, and hiding the afikoman, and really make it a lot of fun.
Passover is one of my favorite holidays. I love listening to my grandfather lead the service, and I love my grandmother's matzo ball soup and just being together as a family.
Finding the afikoman. My favorite part of Passover is being with my family at the Seder and singing Diana.
My family's favorite Passover food is matzo balls or knedlach. I prefer the fluffy ones, but some of my children like the cannonball variety. And I, just for my family alone, have already made 8 times the recipe, so to make sure that we had enough matzo balls.
My favorite food was the chicken soup that my mother made. Of course, I also had a least favorite food. One of my aunts, who will remain nameless, made this incredibly dry chicken, which we called the chicken of affliction, but not to her face.
Izzy, I like matzah. I like matzo ball soup. I like matzah. The matzo ball soup. The soup.
My grandma and mom usually make a kuba, rice kuba, and I think this is my favorite. It grounded beef they cover it with rice, and you put it in hot water and then you fry it. It's the best.
My other favorite thing is the recipe I've been using for the last 20 years that my mother-in-law gave it to me. It's a Sephardic harasses with pine nuts and dates and walnuts and almonds.
My favorite Passover recipe, Grandma's chopped liver. Salt, onion, livers, egg, schmaltz, and a lot of love.
For more than 30 years, my dear friend who went to Hebrew school with me and lived around the corner from me when I was growing up, our families would get together for Passover, and we did this almost every year.
When I was a kid, we lived on Long Island, and we would get into the car and get through this truly biblical traffic jam to get to Brooklyn to my aunt's house, because my aunt had the only place big enough to squeeze 40 people in, which is how many people we usually had for the Seder. And it was this wonderful, raucous mess. And that was a lot of fun.
I remember my brother trying to skip parts of the Seder when no one was paying attention and just start reading on a different page.
Growing up, my grandfather, who was not a particularly religious man, loved Passover. And for all of the years we were growing up, we used exactly the same Haggadah every year, and we could all read the first paragraph with him together because we had done it so many times, and there was something about gathering around the table and all doing that together that always brings a smile to my face.
My children know that they may invite any of their friends to celebrate with us. The year that we moved to Wyomissing, Passover might have been very lonely, since Taryn was the only child to move here with us. My oldest son, Greg, was sure he could get the day off to travel home. However, my middle child, Todd, was touring the United States with the cast of Cinderella. By coincidence, the troupe was scheduled to play in Lancaster and Berks County during Passover. Todd invited the whole cast and crew to come to his home for Seder, and they all accepted. That evening, we cleared all the furniture out of the family room and set multiple tables for the Seder. We ended up with over 20 actors, singers, and crew members joining us. Many of them had never experienced a Seder before, but that night their talent shone when they joined in to read and sing from the Haggadah.
Yes, they were always very exciting. Even then in England, they were also a big part of my life, and the Passover was, I think, the biggest part.
My wish for all of you is a safe and happy Pesach.
I'd like to wish everybody a happy and healthy Passover.
Happy Passover, everybody.
Chag Sameach.
Have a great Pesach.
Happy Passover.